The counting is nearly done. The final result will most likely be announced tomorrow, but it's all over by the shouting for elections 2021. What is the meaning of it all? Is this a watershed, the beginning of something new, or is it the same old, same old? We are at the end of a watershed election. For the first time in our democratic history, the ANC has been pushed to below 50% of the aggregate vote. The new party, Action SA, has featured prominently in Gauteng, while the DA dominates in the Western Cape but lost some support elsewhere while gaining a council in KwaZulu-Natal for the first time. The EFF has gained somewhat. Author, economist and political analyst Moeletsi Mbeki joins me now to look at the big trends of this election and what they mean for this South Africa. Moeletsi Mbeki, welcome to the show. It's such a pleasure and an honor to have you here, and thanks for making the time so late to be with us. Let me ask you about something before we get into the meat of the election. It's the July riots. 342 people died. Massive, massive amounts of losses. I would have expected that this election would have been dominated by the issues raised by the July riots. What was the meaning of those riots, and have they been forgotten?
Well, it just shows you, Justice, how cheap the life of Africans is in the eyes of Africans, in the eyes of the African government, in the eyes of the African media, in the eyes of other Africans. The lives of African people don't count. As you point out, if this were anywhere else, this whole election would have been about what happened in July, but not a word about it. We don't care about the value of the life of other African people. And that is a shocking state of affairs. Mm-hmm.
Alongside those July riots, there are other issues. 44% unemployment using the wider definition. 44%. Load shedding. It's incredible for me that on November 1, November 2, the days before November 1 and November 2, that the country was in darkness. Industry had come to a stop. People in the dark in their houses. And still, it's normal. It's still normal. Why aren't we dealing with these problems head-on as part of this election?
Well, it's because the politicians, all the politicians, don't think these problems matter. The politicians in this country think about themselves and they think about their political parties. They don't think about the country. And this is one of the major problems, not just of South Africa, but of Africa. The elite in South Africa, the elites in Africa don't care about the country. They only care about themselves. They only care about their own welfare. And that is it. That's why in this election, nobody's talking about the country. They're talking about political parties, what alliances and coalitions the politicians should, what games should they play amongst themselves. They don't care about the welfare of the mass of the people.
Should we be surprised? Everyone in this election, as the results came in since Monday, has been talking about voter turnout. Is it just voter turnout? What lies behind this almost a rejection of the electoral system?
Well, what lies behind the low voter turnout is that the politics of South Africa for the last 25 years, let's say, have been the same, and the policies of the ANC government have really been primarily to benefit the black middle class, and therefore the middle class as a whole, both the black and the white middle class. They have not been about the welfare of the mass of the people of South Africa. Up to now, the politicians, all the political parties, have said to the people of South Africa, you are just voting for them to keep us in comfort, to keep us in power. Now the people at last are saying, well, we are no longer interested in playing this game, and they are staying out of it. It's not that there is apathy. It's not apathy. It's a deliberate not participating in the electoral process, because it makes no difference to the lives of the majority, of the large number of the people of South Africa. And that's why we now see these very low turnouts throughout the country.
You're essentially saying this is a boycott. It's a message sent out to the elite.
Absolutely. It is a boycott to the elite. And it is especially a boycott of the ANC by one of its major constituencies, which is the black working class in Gauteng, in the Gauteng metros. Because the heart of our economy, the heart of our social structure is in Gauteng. And what has happened, the black working class, for the last, really almost since the Second World War, has put its faith in the ANC, has followed the leadership of the ANC, and the ANC ignored them. Eventually, once it got into power, it did a few things and then it abandoned them. And now they decided, we are going to stop voting for these guys because they make no difference to our lives. So the biggest message out of the voter turnout is the breakup of the alliance of the black middle class, which are the nationalists of the ANC, and the black working class. That is really the big message, is that alliance is now over. But the black working class hasn't got another party yet, which it will vote for. So they decide to boycott the elections.
Is this a crisis for the nation, for South Africa, or is it a crisis for the ANC?
Okay. Well, it's not a crisis for the nation. It's a crisis for the ANC. But in my view, I think it's a positive development. You know, we are a capitalist society. And if the people at the bottom of the ladder don't take action about their welfare and keep looking up to some higher up to come and save them, well, this is not going to happen. Now, at last, they realize that there is no Messiah who will come from the middle class to come and save them. There is no Messiah who will come from the black elite or for the African elite to come and save them. They have to save themselves. So in a way, this is a real watershed in terms of the real politics of South Africa. We are now entering the modern era in South Africa's politics, which is the era of class politics, no longer the era of race politics.
I'm going to stop you there. I'm going to go into an ad break and we'll come back to you. Stay with us, Moeletsi Mbeki. Stay tuned as we continue our discussion with Moeletsi Mbeki.